The Galactic Empire had crushed civilizations across the stars, armored legions, planet-cracking warships, warriors bred for conquest. But when they came to Earth, they made one fatal mistake. They assumed the most dangerous soldiers would look dangerous. They didn't notice the woman sipping coffee on a New York street corner, her emerald eyes tracking their dropships with cold amusement. They didn't see the man beside her, rolling his shoulders like this was just another Tuesday. And they certainly didn't realize, until it was far too late, that Earth's deadliest weapons didn't wear uniforms. They wore smiles. And by the time the Empire learned the truth, well, let's just say retreating wasn't the worst part of their day. Please wait. Before we start, tap that iCard button in the top right corner and smash that subscribe button. Right now, hit the notification bell so you're first in line when new stories land. Alright, let's dive into the story. The morning sun filtered through the dusty windows of the rusty anchor, casting long shadows across the worn wooden floor. The tavern was quiet, save for the occasional clink of a tankard and the low murmur of early risers. Alira Voss leaned against the bar, her fingers drumming an impatient rhythm. "Another ale," she called out, sliding a copper coin across the counter. The bartender, a burly man with a scar running down his cheek, raised an eyebrow. "Bit early for that, isn't it?" Alira smirked, tossing her dark braid over her shoulder. "When you've got a job like mine, every hour's happy hour." She took a long swig, the bitter taste doing little to wash away the frustration of her last failed heist. The door creaked open, and a hush fell over the room as a stranger stepped inside. Clad in a tattered cloak, the man's piercing green eyes scanned the tavern before settling on Alira. Well, he drawled, sliding onto the stool beside her. "If it isn't the infamous Alira Voss. Heard you botched the Silver Keep job." Alira's grip tightened around her tankard. "Who's asking?" "The name's Kale," he said, flashing a grin that didn't quite reach his eyes. "And I've got a proposition for you." She snorted. "Last time I took a proposition, I ended up with a bounty on my head." Kale leaned in, his voice dropping to a whisper. "This one's different. The Starfall Amulet. Heard of it?" Alira's breath hitched. The amulet was legendary, said to grant its wielder unimaginable power. "You're joking." "Dead serious," Kale replied. "But it's not just lying around. We need to break into the Vault of Whispers." Alira burst out laughing, drawing stares from the other patrons. "You're insane. That place is guarded by the Order of the Crimson Dawn. No one gets in or out." Kale's grin widened. "That's why I need you. Word is, you're the only one who's ever slipped past their defenses." Alira's amusement faded. "That particular job was supposed to be a secret." "Who told you that?" "Let's just say I've got friends in low places," Kale said, tossing a heavy pouch onto the counter. The clink of gold inside was unmistakable. "Half now, half when we're done." Alira weighed her options. The money was tempting, but the risk... Why me? Plenty of thieves in this city. Kale's expression darkened. "Because the others are dead. The order's onto us. We move fast or not at all." The tavern door slammed open again, and 3 armored figures stepped inside, their crimson cloaks marking them as members of the Order. Alira's heart raced. "You led them here?" she hissed. Kale grabbed her arm. "Time to go." They bolted for the back door, the shouts of the guards echoing behind them. Alira's mind raced as they sprinted through the alleyways. She'd sworn off death traps, but fate had other plans. And if the Order was involved, this was bigger than just a heist. As they ducked into a shadowed alcove, Kale turned to her, breathless. "So, you in?" Alira met his gaze, a slow grin spreading across her face. "Oh, I'm in. But if you double-cross me, I'll make sure you regret it." Kale chuckled. "Wouldn't dream of it." The chase was on, and Alira knew one thing for certain. This job would either make them legends or get them killed. Chapter 2. The morning sun cast a golden glow over New York, painting the skyscrapers in warm light. Aria Cross leaned against a cafe counter, her fingers curled around a steaming cup of coffee. She looked like any other woman enjoying the city. Sleek black hair tied back, her form-fitting suit accentuating her toned frame. But her sharp green eyes missed nothing. The distant hum of engines, the shift in the wind, she felt it before she heard it. Across the street, Marcus Kane adjusted his sunglasses, his scarred jaw tightening as he scanned the sky. "You feel that," he muttered, his voice low and rough. Arya took a slow sip, her lips quirking. "Like someone's about to ruin my coffee break." Marcus snorted. "When's the last time we had a quiet one?" "Last Tuesday. Lasted 8 minutes. Right before those smugglers decided to test their luck." Arya smirked. Their funeral. The first tremor hit, a distant boom, then another. The ground vibrated under their feet. Civilians paused, looking around in confusion. Arya set her cup down with deliberate calm. Marcus cracked his neck. "Here we go." The sky split open. Imperial dropships descended like blackened teeth, their engines roaring. Panic erupted as people screamed, scrambling for cover. Arya didn't move. She watched as armored soldiers poured into the streets, their plasma rifles gleaming. One of them, a hulking brute in matte black armor, shoved a civilian aside and locked eyes with her. "You, hands where I can see them." Arya tilted her head. "Or what?" The soldier's grip tightened on his rifle. "Or you die like the rest." Marcus sighed, rolling his shoulders. "She gave you a chance. Should have taken it." The soldier barely had time to blink before Arya moved. One moment, she was standing there relaxed. The next, she twisted his wrist, snatched his rifle, and slammed the butt into his helmet. He crumpled. 2 more soldiers lunged. Marcus intercepted the first, driving an elbow into his throat. The second swung at Arya. She ducked, swept his legs, and planted a knee on his chest. "Tell your boss something for me," she said, her voice icy. "Earth doesn't surrender." The soldier wheezed as she stood, leaving him gasping. Marcus wiped blood from his knuckles. "They're not sending their best." Arya glanced at the dropships, still unloading troops. "They will." Above them, Admiral Krell's voice crackled over the comms in the lead ship. "What's the holdup?" "Secure the area." A young lieutenant stammered, "Sir, there's resistance." "They're not military," but Krell's snarl cut him off. "Civilians? You're losing to civilians." Arya picked up the fallen soldier's comm, her voice dripping with amusement. "Hey, Admiral, welcome to Earth." Silence. Then Krell's furious roar. "Who are you?" Marcus grabbed another rifle off the ground and tossed it to her. She caught it one-handed, grinning. "The reason you're about to have a really bad day." The line went dead. Marcus checked the rifle's charge. "Think he got the message?" Arya chambered around. "Oh, he will." The streets erupted in gunfire, and the Empire learned its first lesson. On Earth, even the quiet ones bite back. Chapter 3. The sewers beneath the city reeked of rot and stagnant water, the damp air clinging to Alira's skin like a second layer of grime. She wrinkled her nose, stepping over a suspiciously squelching pile. "Remind me again why we couldn't take the scenic route." Kale, ahead of her, didn't even glance back. "Because the Order has eyes on every street. You'd rather fight a dozen guards than deal with a little mud." "A little mud," Alira scoffed, lifting her boot with a wet slurp. "This isn't mud. This is whatever nightmares are made of." A chuckle echoed from the darkness ahead. "You two always this charming, or is it just for me?" Alira's hand flew to her dagger as a figure melted out of the shadows. A wiry woman with a shock of white hair and a smirk that screamed trouble. Kale, however, relaxed. "Tessa, took you long enough." Tessa shrugged. "Had to make sure you weren't followed. Though, honestly, if you were, the smell would have given you away." Alira crossed her arms. "And you are." "Your way in," Tessa said, tossing a rusted key in the air and catching it with a flourish. "The vault's outer gate has a nasty habit of eating intruders. Lucky for you, I know how to sweet-talk it." Alira shot Kale a look. "You didn't mention a third wheel." Kale rubbed his temple. "Tessa's the best lockpick this side of the Black River." And she's discreet. Discreet, Tessa snorted. Flattery won't get you a discount, pretty boy. Alira rolled her eyes. Can we focus? The longer we stand here, the more likely we are to grow tentacles from this sewer air. Tessa led them through a maze of tunnels, her steps sure despite the gloom. So, Alira, she said over her shoulder, heard you're the reason the Order's been tearing the city apart. What did you do? Steal the Grandmaster's favorite wig? Worse, Alira muttered. I existed. Kale cut in, his voice tense. We're close. Keep it down. The tunnel opened into a cavernous chamber, its ceiling lost in darkness. Ahead loomed the Vault of Whispers, a massive door etched with glowing runes that pulsed like a heartbeat. Tessa whistled low. Still gives me the creeps. Alira studied the runes, her stomach tightening. Those are blood wards. Touch that door without the right key, and you're a puddle. Tessa winked. Good thing I've got the right key, then. She pulled a vial of dark liquid from her coat, courtesy of a very unlucky guard. Kale frowned. You killed someone for this. Relax, Tessa said, rolling her eyes. I just bribed the barber. Man's out of side business in rare fluids. Alira gagged. I did not need to know that. Tessa dabbed the blood onto the runes, and the door groaned open, revealing a yawning blackness. A cold breeze slithered out, carrying the faint sound of whispers. Kale stepped forward, but Alira grabbed his arm. Wait, you hear that? The whispers grew louder, twisting into words. Thieves, liars, fools. Tessa paled. Okay, that's new. Alira's dagger was in her hand before she realized she'd drawn it. We're not alone. A figure emerged from the darkness, tall, skeletal, wrapped in tattered robes. Its hollow eyes fixed on them, and its jaw unhinged with a crack. The vault claims all. Kale backed up. Run. Now. They bolted, the creature's shrieks tearing after them. Tessa cursed as she sprinted. You didn't say anything about undead gatekeepers. Surprise. Alira shot back, skidding around a corner. Kale grabbed her shoulder, shoving her into a side tunnel. This way, the creature's wails faded behind them, but Alira's heart still pounded. She glared at Kale. Next time, lead with the ancient death monster part. He had the decency to look sheepish. Noted, Tessa leaned against the wall, gasping. So, still think the amulet's worth it? Alira met Kale's gaze. The fear in his eyes was answer enough. But then he straightened, jaw set. We're not turning back. Alira sighed. Yeah, didn't think so. The whispers echoed in the distance, a chilling reminder. The vault wasn't done with them yet. Chapter 4. The Bridge of the Iron Fist was in chaos. Admiral Krell slammed his fist on the command console, his golden eyes burning with fury. How are we losing ground to unarmed humans? Explain this to me. Commander Vera studied the holographic feed, her violet eyes narrowing at the carnage below. They're not unarmed, Admiral. They're just different. The footage showed Arya flipping over an armored trooper, driving her knee into his throat before disarming him in one fluid motion. Marcus moved like a shadow, snapping necks and disarming soldiers twice his size with terrifying efficiency. Krell growled. Different? They're animals. Vera clenched her jaw. No, animals fight for survival. These humans? They're enjoying this. Below, Arya ripped a plasma rifle from fallen soldier and fired 3 precise shots, each one dropping an elite trooper in their tracks. She tossed the weapon aside like it was nothing. These guys really thought armor would save them, she called to Marcus, wiping blood from her lip. Marcus grinned, tossing a stunned soldier over his shoulder like a rag doll. Guess they don't teach them about Earth's hospitality. Arya ducked under a wild swing from a hulking brute in reinforced armor. She rolled her eyes. Seriously? You're what they call elite. The brute roared, swinging again. Arya sidestepped, grabbed his arm, and used his momentum to flip him onto his back. The ground shook from the impact. She planted a boot on his chest. Tell your boss something for me, she said, leaning down. Bigger isn't better. Marcus chuckled as he snapped the wrist of another soldier. You always gotta rub it in, don't you? Adias muked. What's the point of winning if you can't have fun with it? Up in the iron fist, Krell's face twisted in rage. Send in the Valkyries. Vera stiffened. Admiral, those are our last. Do it. A squad of towering female warriors clad in shimmering black combat suits descended from a dropship, their movements synchronized, their eyes cold. Adia we stood. Okay, now we're talking. Marcus cracked his knuckles. Took him long enough to send someone interesting. The lead Valkyrie stepped forward, her voice like ice. Surrender, or we will make your deaths painful. Adia laughed. Oh, sweetheart, you have no idea what painful means. The Valkyrie lunged blindingly fast. Arya barely dodged, feeling the air whip past her face as the warrior's fist missed by inches. Marcus wasn't as lucky. A kick sent him skidding back, but he rolled to his feet, grinning. Okay, that was a good hit. Arya wiped her mouth, her eyes locked on the Valkyrie. Finally, a challenge. The Valkyrie sneered. You are nothing. Arya's grin turned feral. Funny, I was about to say the same thing. Then she moved. The fight was a blur, fists, kicks, dodges, counters. The Valkyrie was fast, but Arya was faster. She ducked under a slash, drove an elbow into the warrior's ribs, then flipped her onto the pavement. The Valkyrie gasped, stunned. Marcus, meanwhile, had two others on him, but he was holding his own, blocking, striking, even laughing. You ladies fight good. Shame you picked the wrong planet. Arya yanked the lead Valkyrie up by her collar. Tell your admiral something. Her voice dropped to a deadly whisper. Earth doesn't lose. She knocked her out cold. Krell's scream of rage echoed through the comms. Fall back. Fall back now. Arya watched as the remaining Valkyries dragged their unconscious leader away, the dropships retreating in disarray. Marcus walked up beside her, breathing hard but grinning. Think they've had enough? Arya crossed her arms. Nah, but they're starting to learn. Above them, the iron fist shuddered, its engines flaring as it began to pull away. The lesson was simple. Earth's deadliest weapons didn't need armor. They were the weapon. Chapter 5. The air inside the vault's inner sanctum was thick with the scent of aged parchment and something metallic, blood, maybe, or old magic. Alira's boots clicked against the obsidian floor as she edged forward, the glow of Kale's lantern casting long, flickering shadows. Remind me why we're trusting a map drawn by a dead man? She muttered, eyeing the crumbling parchment in Tessa's hands. Tessa smirked. Because the dead don't lie. Mostly, she tapped a faded symbol. This says the amulets behind the Mirror of Echoes. Sound cozy. Kale exhaled sharply. Nothing in this place is cozy. Last time we got cozy, a statue tried to eat Tessa. Hey, I handled it, Tessa said, flipping a dagger between her fingers. And by handled it, I mean I screamed and ran. Alira rolled her eyes. Charming. They reached a circular chamber, its walls lined with mirrors, each reflecting not their faces, but twisted, warped versions of themselves. Alira's reflection grinned at her with too many teeth. Well, Kale said dryly, that's not horrifying at all. Tessa inched closer to one mirror, poking it. Her reflection mimicked the movement, then grabbed her wrist. Okay, no. She yanked back, but the reflection held fast, its grin widening. Alira lunged, slicing her dagger across the mirror's surface. The glass shattered, and the reflection dissolved into smoke with a shriek. Next time, don't touch the evil mirrors, Alira snapped. Noted, Tessa gasped, rubbing her wrist. But look, that one's different. At the chamber's center stood a single mirror, its frame carved with runes. Unlike the others, it showed nothing, just an endless void. Kale's jaw tightened. That's our door. Alira eyed it. And how do we open it? Ask nicely. Better. Tessa pulled out a small, curved blade. Blood sacrifice. Kale recoiled. You're joking. Wish I was. She pressed the blade to her palm. The runes say, Only the worthy may pass. And by worthy, they mean willing to bleed. Elira snatched the blade. Let me. I've got more practice bleeding for stupid reasons. She sliced her palm, hissing as crimson dripped onto the mirror surface. The blood sizzled, and the void within rippled, then parted like a curtain. Beyond lay a pedestal, the starfall amulet floating above it, its gem pulsing with an eerie light. Kale took a step forward, then froze as a voice echoed through the chamber. Guests. A figure emerged from the shadows, tall, clad in the Order's crimson robes, his face hidden beneath a gilded mask. The Grandmaster. Tessa cursed. You've got to be kidding me. The Grandmaster tilted his head. Did you truly believe the vault would be unguarded? Elira's grip tightened on her dagger. We're not leaving without the amulet. Of course not, he said smoothly. But you'll leave as corpses. With a flick of his wrist, the mirror shattered, and the reflections within surged forward, solid, snarling, and very, very real. Kale backed toward the pedestal. Elira, distract him. Tessa, get the amulet. Elira bared her teeth. Oh, I'll do more than distract. She lunged, dagger flashing. The Grandmaster parried with a blade of pure shadow, the clash sending sparks flying. Tessa darted for the amulet, but a reflection tackled her mid-step. She rolled, driving her elbow into its face. Busy here. Kale grabbed the amulet and screamed. Light erupted from the gem, searing up his arm. Elira's heart lurched. Kale! The Grandmaster laughed. Did you never wonder why we let you get this far? The amulet chooses its wielder. Kale writhed, the light spreading, consuming him. Then abruptly, it stopped. His eyes snapped open, glowing with the same eerie radiance. When he spoke, his voice was not his own. Mine. Elira's blood went cold. This wasn't a heist anymore. It was a nightmare. Chapter 6. The streets of New York were eerily quiet now, the last echoes of battle fading into the evening air. Smoke curled from broken buildings, and the occasional flicker of dying fires cast long shadows across the pavement. Aria Cross sat on the hood of a wrecked hovercar, rolling a plasma cartridge between her fingers like a coin. Marcus Kane leaned against the car beside her, his arms crossed as he watched the retreating Imperial fleet streak across the darkening sky. You think they'll actually stay gone this time? Marcus asked, his voice rough from exhaustion. Aria smirked, flipping the cartridge into the air and catching it. Doubt it. Pride's a hell of a motivator. Marcus chuckled. Yeah, well, so's getting your ass handed to you by a couple of civilians. Aria's grin widened. Bet that stings worse than the bruises. Above them, the last of the Imperial ships vanished into the clouds, their engines glowing like dying embers. The city was still standing. Earth was still standing. And the Empire had just learned a very painful lesson. A distant rumble made them both turn. A sleek black transport rolled up, its doors sliding open to reveal a woman in a sharp military jacket, her dark hair pulled into a tight bun. General Naomi Pierce stepped out, her boots clicking against the pavement. You two look like hell. Adia shrugged. You should see the other guys. Naomi arched a brow. Oh, I did. The Empire's calling it a strategic withdrawal. Marcus snorted. That's one way to say running with their tails between their legs. Naomi folded her arms, her expression shifting to something more serious. They'll be back. Bigger. Angrier. Aria hopped out of the car, stretching her arms behind her head. Let him come. We'll just kick their teeth in again. Naomi sighed, but there was a hint of amusement in her eyes. You make it sound so simple. It is, Marcus said, pushing off the car. They fight for conquest. We fight for home. That's always been the difference. Naomi studied them both for a long moment, then nodded. Command wants you both debriefed. And, for the record, they're calling this a victory. Arya rolled her eyes. Great. More paperwork. Marcus elbowed her. Hey, at least we didn't die. Low bar, Kane. Naomi shook her head, turning back toward the transport. Get in. We've got a lot to discuss. Arya and Marcus exchanged a glance before following. As the transport's doors closed behind them, Arya leaned back in her seat, watching the ruined city pass by through the window. "You think they'll ever figure it out?" Marcus asked quietly. Arya didn't look away from the glass. "Figure what out? That we're not just soldiers. That every person on this planet's got the same fire in them." Arya finally turned to him, her green eyes glinting in the dim light. "Nah, that's the thing about empires, Marcus. They never see the people, just the threat." The transport sped into the night, leaving the battlefield behind. But the message had been sent. Earth didn't need uniforms to be an army. It just needed to be Earth. Chapter 7. The Grandmaster's laughter echoed through the chamber, sharp and triumphant as Kale, no, the thing wearing Kale's face, turns toward them with hollow, glowing eyes. The Starfall amulet pulsed against his chest like a second heartbeat, its light casting jagged shadows across the walls. Tessa scrambled back, her knives glinting in the eerie glow. "Okay, new plan. Any plan." Alira's fingers tightened around her dagger, her mind racing. "Kale," she snapped, stepping forward. "Fight it. I know you're still in there." The possessed Kale tilted his head, his voice layered with something ancient and cold. "He is screaming. Would you like to hear?" The Grandmaster spread his arms. "The amulet's power is not for thieves. It belongs to the Order, to me." Tessa spat on the ground. "Yeah? Tell that to the creepy voice coming out of your lackey." With a snarl, the Grandmaster flicked his wrist, and the remaining mirror shadows lunged. Alira barely dodged as one lashed out, its claws grazing her shoulder. She hissed in pain but spun, driving her dagger into its chest. It dissolved into smoke, only for two more to take its place. Tessa was a whirlwind of blades, her breath coming in sharp gasps. "Alira, we can't hold them off forever." Alira's gaze darted to Kale. The amulet's glow flickered for a split second, just long enough for her to see his face twist in agony. He's still fighting. She made a decision. "Tessa, keep the Grandmaster busy." Tessa's eyes widened. "Ow! Improvise." Alira ducked past a shadow and sprinted toward Kale. The Grandmaster roared, raising his hands. Dark energy crackled at his fingertips, but Tessa hurled a knife straight at his face. He barely deflected it, snarling. "You insect." Tessa grinned, flipping another blade. "Annoying, aren't I?" Alira skidded to a stop in front of Kale, her heart hammering. Up close, she could see veins of light spreading under his skin, like roots choking him from within. "Kale," she growled, gripping his shoulders. "Listen to me, you stubborn, reckless idiot. I am not dying here because you couldn't keep your hands off shiny things. For a heartbeat, nothing." Then Kale's body jerked. His glowing eyes flickered, and his voice, strained but his, gritted out, "Alira." She didn't hesitate. Her hand shot out, grabbing the amulet. The second her fingers touched it, white-hot pain exploded through her. Visions tore through her mind. 1,000 voices, 1,000 lives, all screaming at once. She saw empires rise and crumble, stars dying, a hunger so vast it could swallow the world. And then, clear as a bell, Kale's voice, "Break it." With a cry, Alira wrenched the amulet from his chest and slammed it onto the ground. The explosion of light threw her backward. The chamber shook, cracks spiderwebbing across the walls. The Grandmaster howled as the shadows recoiled, his control shattering. Tessa grabbed Alira's arm, hauling her up. "Time to go." Kale collapsed, gasping, the light fading from his eyes. Alira dragged him to his feet. "Move!" They stumbled as the vault crumbled around them, the Grandmaster's enraged screams fading behind the roar of collapsing stone. The exit loomed, a sliver of daylight. They burst into the open air, just as the entrance collapsed in a cloud of dust. Silence. Then Kale coughed, rolling onto his back. "Ow!" Tessa flopped down beside him. "You're welcome, by the way." Alira, still shaking, punched Kale in the arm. Never do that again. He winced but managed a weak grin. No promises. Above them, the sky was clear, no shadows, no whispers. Just the sun, bright and ordinary. Tess sighed. So what now? Elira looked at Kale, then at the ruins behind them. She smirked. Now, we get a drink. Kale groaned. Please. As they limped toward the city, the weight of the amulet's destruction settled over them. It was over, and somehow, against all odds, they'd won. And that was the end of the story. Comment below if you want the next chapter, and hit that like button. Please subscribe, turn on the bell, and, as always, keep the last light burning.